Smoke covered the sky above Earth's last stronghold. The ground shook with every blast. Fire and ash fell like rain. The war between humans and the Virilians had reached its final stage. Cities had fallen. Oceans had turned black. Only a few human bases were left, and all of them were surrounded inside the largest bunker. A young soldier named Tom stood with a rifle in his hand. His uniform was dirty. His face was tired, but his eyes still had fire. Tom had seen many battles. He had lost friends, brothers, and even his home. Yet he kept fighting. Tom said a voice on the radio, "We need you to lead the front again. The West Gate is about to fall." Tom didn't ask questions. He just nodded and ran to the front lines. Tanks rolled beside him. Drones flew overhead. Human soldiers took positions and waited for the enemy. From the smoke, tall, shining figures appeared. They were the Virilians, tall aliens with silver skin and glowing blue armor. Their weapons made no sound but cut through metal like paper. They moved fast and worked as one. Their leader, Queen Lyra, had sent her best warriors to finish the job. Tom reached the gate and shouted, "Hold the line. Do not fall back." The soldiers around him stood firm. The Virilians came closer. Then the sky turned white as the two sides clashed. Blades met bullets. Drones exploded in the air. Men screamed. The earth cracked. Tom moved through the chaos, covering his squad and taking down enemies with careful shots. He saved a group of medics who were trapped behind a broken tank. He pulled two injured soldiers to safety. He even knocked out a Virilian warrior with a metal pipe when his gun jammed. But even with all his bravery, the humans were losing. The Virilians were stronger, faster, and better trained. One by one, the humans began to fall back. The West Gate was broken. The bunker was almost open. Then came a strange silence. A group of Virilians circled Tom. He raised his gun. But it was too late. A stun blast hit him. His body froze. He fell to the ground, eyes still open, breathing hard. The last thing he saw was a Virilian ship landing beside him. When Tom woke up, he was not in the bunker. He was lying on a soft bed inside a clean, white room. The air was cold. The lights were soft blue. He sat up and looked around. He was not tied. There were no guards, just a door in front of him. He stood up and walked to it. Before he could touch it, the door opened. Two Virilians in gold armor stepped inside. They were not holding weapons. "Follow us," one said in a calm voice. Tom followed them through long halls filled with strange lights and symbols. He passed rooms where Virilians worked with machines. Some looked at him with interest. Others ignored him. Finally, they reached a tall silver door. It opened slowly. Inside was a round room with glass walls. In the middle stood a tall woman. She wore a long black robe with silver lines. A crown of light floated above her head. She turned and looked at him. "I'm Queen Lyra," she said. Tom stood straight and said nothing. His hand stayed near his side, ready to fight if needed. "You are not a prisoner," she said. "You are a guest. You may speak freely." Tom looked her in the eye and asked, "Why am I here?" Lyra walked toward him. Her steps were slow and smooth. "Because you are not like the others," she said. "You do not run. You do not beg. You protect others, even when you are hurt. I saw you in the battle. You are brave and loyal. That is rare." Tom frowned. He didn't care for her. Praise from the enemy. "What do you want from me?" he asked. Lyra stopped a few steps away. "I want peace," she said. Tom laughed once. "Your people destroyed our cities. You burned our skies. Now you talk about peace." Lyra did not get angry. Her voice stayed calm. "There is a way to end the war," she said. "One way, a union." Tom blinked. "A union, yes," said Lyra. "An ancient Virilian law allows a royal bond to bring peace between two warring races. If I marry a warrior from the other side, the war must stop. By law." Tom stared at her. He was sure he heard wrong. "You want to marry me?" "Yes," said Lyra. "You are the human I choose." Tom took a step back. His hands curled into fists. "You must be joking." Lyra shook her head. "This is no joke. I offer you a choice. Join me in peace, or return to your world and watch it fall. If you say yes, no more bombs will fall. No more children will cry. The killing will stop. Tom's mind raced. He had never heard of anything like this. He didn't trust her. But if she was telling the truth, saying yes could save millions of lives. I need time, he said. You have it, said Lyra. Your room is yours. You are free to walk this ship. Speak with anyone. Learn what you can. Then come back and tell me your answer. Tom looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded and turned to leave. As the door closed behind him, Lyra looked out at the stars. She placed one hand over her heart. Let us see what kind of man you truly are, she whispered. Tom sat on the edge of the soft bed in his new room. The white walls around him were quiet and clean. A soft blue light shone from the ceiling. There were no guards, no locks, just peace. But inside Tom's mind, a storm was growing. The alien queen had offered him something no one expected. Marriage. Not because of love, not for power, but to stop a war. He stood up and paced back and forth. His boots tapped softly against the smooth floor. He kept asking himself the same question. Was it real? Could one strange marriage truly end the bloodshed? A soft chime came from the wall. A small screen lit up. A Varillian woman with green eyes appeared. You are invited to see the ship. She said, Queen Lyra wants you to learn. I will guide you. Tom pressed the button near the door. It opened with a soft sound. The green-eyed guide stood outside in a long silver robe. My name is Nira, she said. You may follow me. No one will harm you. Tom nodded and followed her through the ship. The halls were wide and full of blue lights. Strange symbols glowed on the walls. Some Varillians passed by and gave him short looks, but none of them looked angry. Nira brought him to a large room with a glass wall. Outside, stars shine like white dust across the black sky. Tom saw Earth far in the distance, still turning, still alive. This is the Star View deck, Nira said. We come here for peace and thought. Tom looked at the stars. His heart felt heavy. You don't look like monsters, he said, but you fight like you hate us. Nira looked at him with calm eyes. We were taught that humans bring chaos, she said, but I have seen your people. You have fire and heart. You protect your own. That is something we respect. Tom turned away from the stars. What does the queen really want? He asked. Why me? She could choose anyone. Nira smiled a little. She saw how you fought. Not with anger. Not with fear. You saved others when you could have run. You made a choice. That is why she chose you. Tom stayed silent. His thoughts were mixed. He remembered the battle, the pain, the screams, the fire. But now he stood in quiet, with no weapon and an offer that could end it all. Nira walked to another part of the ship. Tom followed her into a large room filled with machines. Screens showed maps and energy waves. Varillians worked in silence, focused and calm. This is the heart of the ship, Nira said. The control room. Tom walked slowly. He saw how clean and perfect everything was. No shouting, no rushing. Everything moved like a system. We are trained to serve the queen without doubt, Nira said. But even we did not expect her to offer union with a human. Tom looked at her. Do you trust her plan? He asked. Nira nodded. She is not weak. She is wise. And she has hope. That is more rare than power. Tom left the control room and went to the dining hall. The food was strange but tasted fine. He sat alone until Queen Lyra appeared. She wore a new robe, white with blue lines. Her crown of light glowed softly above her head. May I sit? She asked. Tom nodded. It's your ship. She sat across from him. Have you learned anything new? She asked. Tom leaned forward. I don't understand why you believe this will work. Even if I say yes, my people may still fight. Some of your people may also try to stop you. Lyra folded her hands. You are right. There will be those who doubt. But symbols matter. A bond between two leaders speaks louder than any weapon. Tom stared at her. I'm not a leader. I'm a soldier. You are more than that, Lyra said. You are a voice of courage. Tom pushed his plate aside. I'm not sure I can trust you. You do not have to trust me fully. Lura said, just believe in the chance for peace. Tom stood up. He walked to the window and looked out at space. What happens if I say no? He asked. Lura stood beside him. Then I will return you to Earth. The war will continue. Your people will fight until there is nothing left. Tom stayed quiet. His heart was heavy. He thought about his team, the people in bunkers, the families still hiding. What if this is a trap? He asked. Lura's voice stayed calm. Then, you will have seen the heart of our world and made your choice with honor. Tom turned to her. Do you promise to end the war if I agree? I swear by my throne, Lura said. Tom looked into her eyes. They did not lie. They were strong but not cold. For the first time, he saw something more than an enemy. He saw someone who carried a great weight. I need one more day, he said. You will have it. Lura answered. Tom returned to his room. He sat on the bed, staring at the floor. He thought about the past, the loss, the pain. Then he thought about what could come. A future without fire. A future without hate. The next day, he would give his answer. The next morning, Tom woke early. The blue light in his room slowly brightened, as if the ship itself wanted him to rise gently. He sat up and rubbed his face. His heart felt heavy. His mind was full of questions. He knew the decision he made. Today could change everything. The door opened without a sound. Nira stood outside, holding a long coat. The Queen invites you to the gardens, she said. Tom raised an eyebrow. You have gardens on a warship? Nira gave a small smile. Even in war, we must grow life. Tom followed her through the halls. The air smelled clean. He noticed how quiet everything was. There were no loud orders, no alarms. The ship felt calm, even peaceful. They reached a large circular room with glass walls. Inside, green trees grew. In tall lines, bright flowers bloomed across the floor. A small stream ran through the center, and soft music played in the air. Queen Lura stood near a silver tree. She turned as Tom entered. I hope this place brings you peace, she said. Tom looked around. He had not seen anything this beautiful since before the war. It reminds me of Earth, he said quietly. Lura walked with him through the garden. Tell me about your world, she said. Tom paused. No one had asked him that in a long time. I grew up near the coast, he said. I used to run through green fields with my brother. The sea was close. We would swim when the sun was strong. My father was a builder. My mother was a teacher. Lura listened without speaking. Her hand stayed behind her back. I miss it, Tom said. War took all of it. Lura stopped beside a white flower and touched its petals. I know the pain of loss, she said. I was not born to be queen. My sister was the heir. She died in the first contact with humans. After that, I was given the crown. Tom looked at her. So this war is personal to you? Yes, she said. But I learned that revenge only feeds fire. Now I want to break the chain. They sat on a bench under a crystal tree. Birds made of light flew above them. Tom turned to her. You speak of peace, but your soldiers are still fighting. Lura nodded. The system moves slow. Some of my generals do not trust humans. They believe peace is weakness. Tom leaned forward. Then why do you risk this offer? You could lose your throne. Lura looked him in the eyes. Because peace is worth any risk. Tom stayed silent for a long time. He looked at her face. She was calm but strong. Her words were heavy with truth. Later that day, Tom walked through the ship alone. Nira had given him access to most areas. He entered a learning hall where young Virilians studied Earth's history. He watched a young Virilian speak to her teacher. Are humans really as wild as the stories say? She asked. The teacher answered, they are wild, but also kind. They create and destroy. That is what makes them both dangerous and beautiful. Tom felt strange hearing that. The enemy was teaching their young about his people in a fair way. He moved to the next room. Inside, several Virilians were training. One of them approached him. You are the human chosen by the queen, the warrior said. Tom nodded. I am. I do not understand why, the warrior said, but I will not question her will. Tom looked at him. I didn't ask for this, but I want to understand your people before I decide anything. The warrior nodded once. Then, "You are wiser than most." Tom returned to his room that night. He sat in silence and thought deeply. He had seen many sides of the Virilians. They were not just fighters. They had art, music, gardens, and schools. They had leaders who wanted peace and others who feared it. He had also seen that Queen Lyra was not playing a game. She was willing to risk her rule for peace. She had shared her pain, her thoughts, and her hope. Tom stood and looked out the window. Earth was closer now. The ship was moving toward neutral space. The door opened and Lyra entered. "I did not want you to be alone tonight," she said. Tom turned. "You said I could speak freely, so I will." Lyra waited. "I still don't know if this is the right path. I don't know if I'm the right one. But I believe you. I believe you want peace." "That is enough," Lyra said. "I saw your people." Tom continued. "Some are like me. Some fear change. But many want the war to end, just like we do." Lyra stepped closer. "Then I ask again, will you walk this path with me?" Tom took a deep breath. His heart beat fast. "Give me one more night. I want to speak to my people first." "You shall," Lyra said. The next day, Tom was given a secure line to Earth. His voice was sent across space to the human command. "This is Tom," he said. "I have been offered a chance to end the war. Not with guns, but with trust. The alien queen has asked me to marry her. Not for power, but for peace." There was silence for a while. Then a reply came. "If you believe in it, we will support your choice." Tom felt a weight lift from his shoulders. He turned to Nira and said, "Take me to the queen." Tom walked through the silver hulls of the Virilian ship with his thoughts heavy and sharp. He had made his choice. He was going to accept Queen Lyra's offer, not because he wanted power or glory, but because he saw a chance to stop the war. He saw hope in her words, and even more in the people around her. As he entered the royal chamber, Queen Lyra stood near the tall glass window, looking at the stars. "I have spoken to my people," Tom said. Lyra turned to him. Her eyes showed calm, but also a hint of worry. "And what did they say?" "They will support the Union," Tom said. "If I say yes, they will not stop me." Lyra stepped closer. "Then I ask one final time, will you walk beside me to bring peace to our worlds?" Tom nodded. "Yes, I will." Lyra smiled, not with pride, but with quiet relief. "Then we begin preparations," she said. "The bond ceremony will be held on neutral ground. Both humans and Virilians will attend. The world will watch." Tom took a breath. "Let's hope they believe in peace as much as we do." But peace was not in everyone's heart. Far away, in the hidden corners of Earth's command base, a group of high-ranking human officers sat in a dark room. They had received Tom's message. They had heard of his choice. One of the officers slammed his hand on the table. "We can't allow this," he said. "This is surrender dressed as peace. We lose our honor if we agree to it." Another officer spoke calmly. "He's not wrong. If we let this happen, the aliens will have influence over everything. Our future will belong to them." A third voice said, "Then we stop it." Quietly, they all nodded. A secret plan began to form. They would send a small team to destroy the Virilian ship before the ceremony. If the queen was gone, the deal would fall apart. The war would continue, but Earth would remain in control of its fate. Meanwhile, deep inside the Virilian ship, not all was calm either. 3 Virilian generals met in a dark chamber, away from the queen's eyes. One of them spoke in a cold voice. "This union will bring weakness. The humans cannot be trusted." Another added, "She risks everything for one man. If he fails her, we lose our power." The third general, older and sharper, said, "We must act before the bond is sealed. The law cannot stop us if she is removed before the ceremony." They agreed to move fast. That night, as Tom walked alone through the garden room, he noticed something strange. Two Virilian soldiers stood near a panel they weren't supposed to touch when they saw Tom. They walked away quickly. Too quickly, Tom's instincts spoke loud. He followed them silently through a back hall. They entered a closed chamber. Tom waited until they left, then stepped inside. He found a small device blinking red. It was hidden inside a wall panel, a bomb. Not large enough to destroy the whole ship, but strong enough to kill someone in one part of it. Maybe the Queen. Tom rushed to the control room and called Nira. Tell Lyra she's in danger. He said, there's a bomb inside the garden. Hall. Nira's face went pale. She moved fast, calling for security. Within minutes, guards secured the area and removed the bomb. Lyra arrived soon after. Her face calm, but her hands tight at her sides. You were not wrong, Tom said. Not everyone wants peace. Not on your side, and not on mine. We will find those responsible. Lyra said, but this shows us something important. What is that? Tom asked. That we must stand stronger together than ever before. She said, if peace is to live, we must protect it. Tom nodded. There's something else. He told her about the secret voices he heard from Earth. Not everyone in command supported the marriage. Some feared it. Some wanted to stop it. Then we will be watched, Lyra said. Every step must be careful. But we will not turn back. The next day, Tom stood on the landing deck, looking at the ship that would carry them to neutral space for the ceremony. He wore a simple black suit with a silver belt, the symbol of peace marked on his chest. Lyra joined him, dressed in a flowing blue robe, her crown glowing softly. Are you ready? She asked. I don't know what comes next, Tom said, but I know I'm not walking alone. The ship lifted into space. Unknown to them, two more ships followed in secret. One carried human soldiers sent by the secret Earth Command. The other carried Varillian warriors under the orders of the angry generals. Both groups had the same goal: stop the Union before it could happen. But Tom and Lyra didn't know this yet. They stood side by side, looking out into the stars. Do you think people will ever truly stop fearing each other? Tom asked. They might, Lyra said, but only if someone shows them how. Then she held out her hand. Tom took it without hesitation. The journey to the ceremony had begun, but the hardest part was still to come. The ship carrying Tom and Queen Lyra moved smoothly through space. It was headed for a neutral station built between Earth and Varillian space. The station was once a war zone. Now it had been rebuilt as a place for peace talks, the upcoming bond. Ceremony was meant to take place there. Inside the ship, everything was quiet. The halls were lined with guards from both sides. Tom noticed how the human and Varillian soldiers kept distance from each other. Trust was thin. He understood. Both sides had lost too much. Tom stood near the main window, looking at the stars. Lyra joined him. We are almost there, she said. Tom gave a small nod. I hope it will not be our last journey. Lyra's voice stayed calm. We are watched by enemies, but we are not alone. Unknown to them, trouble was already following. Far behind their ship, two smaller crafts moved in secret. One held the Varillian rebels. The other held the human strike team. Each group had one goal: stop the bond ceremony. They did not trust peace. They believed only in victory or survival. As the main ship reached the edge of the station, warning. Lights flashed on the control deck. Unmarked crafts approaching, said a Varillian pilot. Fast and armed, Tom and Lyra rushed to the deck. Who are they? Tom asked. The pilot answered. Unknown. But they are not responding to contact. Lyra turned to her guards. Prepare defenses. Protect the ship. Before more could be said, the first blast hit. The ship shook. Red lights flashed. Tom grabbed the edge of a console. They're targeting us, he said. Lyra nodded. They want to destroy the Union. Another blast came, stronger. A fire broke out in the lower decks. Smoke rose through the halls. Tom ran toward the flames. Two human guards followed him. They reached the engine room where sparks flew and metal burned. Help me shut this valve. Tom shouted. Together, they fought the heat and sealed the line. One human fell back from smoke, but Tom pulled him out. You saved me, the soldier said, surprised. You're on my side, Tom answered. We're here for peace, not blame. Above, the ship's defenses returned fire. One enemy craft exploded. The second ship tried to land on the main deck. Lyra ran to the command room and called out, seal all doors. Do not let them reach the core. But it was too late. A group of rebel Virilians forced their way in. They wore dark armor and moved fast. Lura stood in front of the command panel. Her guards surrounded her. One of the rebels shouted, "Step aside. The union must not happen." Lura raised her voice. "You raise your blade against your queen. This is not about rule," the rebel said. "It is about survival." Tom arrived just in time. He saw the rebels, their weapons ready. Without thinking, he picked up a fallen guard's shield and stepped beside Lura. "You'll have to go through me first," he said. The rebel leader charged. A fight broke out. Blades clashed, sparks flew. One rebel knocked a human guard down. Tom blocked an attack with the shield and pushed forward. Lura used a shock device to stun one attacker. Another Virilian aimed at her, but Tom tackled him too. The the battle was short but fierce. When it ended, 4 rebels lay unconscious. 2 were wounded. The rest were captured. Tom stood with a deep cut on his arm. Blood ran down his sleeve. He breathed hard, holding the shield. Lura looked at him. "You fought to protect me." "I said yes," Tom said. "That means I stand with you." She stepped forward and touched his wound gently. Her hand glowed. With soft blue light, the bleeding slowed. The pain faded. "Your body heals fast," Lura said. "But your heart heals faster." Tom smiled a little. "That's a strange compliment. It is a true one," she said. Soon after, the ship reached the neutral station. Repairs were started. Guards doubled. Word of the attack spread fast. But so did the news of how Tom and Lura stood together and fought as one. Inside the station, final plans were made for the ceremony. Tom sat in a quiet room, his arm wrapped but no longer in pain. A human officer came to see him. It was someone Tom knew from the early battles. His name was Mark. "You really believe in this?" Mark asked. Tom nodded. "I've seen their world. I've seen her people. They want to live. Just like us." Mark looked unsure. "Some think you've been turned. I haven't," Tom said. "I've chosen peace. That doesn't mean I've forgotten what we lost. It means I don't want to lose more." Mark stood quiet for a moment. Then he reached out his hand. "Then I'll stand with you too," he said. Tom shook his hand. One step closer to unity. Later, Lura visited Tom again. "Some of your people are afraid," she said. "I know," Tom answered. "But some are starting to believe." Lura looked at him for a long time. "Are you ready for tomorrow?" "I'm ready," Tom said. "We've come through fire together." "That means something," she nodded. "It means everything." As night came, both of them stood on the station balcony. Earth and Varelia could be seen in the sky, shining like 2 different suns. But for the first time, they seemed closer. The next day would be the ceremony. The next day, peace could begin. But the war had not fully ended. Not yet. The day of the ceremony had come. The great hall inside the neutral space station was filled with both humans and Virilians. The air was still, heavy with silence and tension. No one laughed. No one whispered. All eyes were on the raised platform. At the center of the hall, on one side sat human leaders in dark uniforms. On the other side sat Virilian elders dressed in silver robes. Soldiers from both worlds stood along the walls, alert and armed. Everyone waited. Tom stood in a quiet room behind the stage. He looked at himself in the mirror. He wore a simple, dark suit with a shining crest shaped like to join stars. It was the new symbol of unity. His face was calm, but his heart beat faster than ever before. He remembered the last few days. The attack, the fire, the risk. He had faced death more than once, but today felt different. Today he was not fighting with weapons. He was standing for peace. The door opened. Nira entered. "It is time," she said softly. Tom nodded. He followed her through the hall. As he walked past the guards and guests, people turned to look at him. Some nodded in respect. Others looked with doubt. But no one stopped him. At the far end, Queen Lura entered through another door. She wore a flowing, white robe marked with blue lines that shimmered under the light. Her crown floated above her head. Smaller now, softer. She looked not just like a queen, but also like a leader ready to walk a new path. When Tom saw her, He felt a strange calm rise inside him. They met at the center of the platform. The elder from the human side stepped forward first. He looked at Tom. "Do you stand here by your own choice?" he asked. "I do," Tom said. The elder from the Varillian side stepped forward next. She looked at Lura. "Do you offer this bond in truth and honor?" "I do," Lura answered. The two elders stepped aside. Lura and Tom turned to face each other. The hall was silent. Then Lura spoke. "In a time of war, we found a voice of hope. In you, I saw more than a soldier. I saw a soul brave enough to choose a harder path. I offer you this bond, not to own, but to walk beside, not to rule, but to share." Tom nodded. "In you, I saw an enemy, but I also saw a leader who did not turn away from peace. You chose to risk everything to end the fight. I stand beside you, not as a soldier, but as a man who believes in the future we can build." They raised their hands. A small device floated down between them, glowing with soft blue light. It scanned both of them and released a quiet tone. The bond was complete. The law of the Virillians was clear. The war must end. The hall stayed silent for a few seconds. Then someone clapped, then more. Slowly the sound grew. People from both sides stood and clapped together. Some smiled, some cried, others stayed quiet, still unsure, but no one raised a weapon. The ceremony ended, and Tom and Lura were led to a private room. Lura sat down and removed her crown. Her eyes met Tom's. "It is done," she said. "Yes," Tom replied. "But now the real work begins." She nodded. "The bond may stop the war, but it will not erase fear. That takes time." Tom sat beside her. "I'll be with you every step of the way." Just then, a message came through the station's main system. It was a broadcast from Earth and Varelia at the same time. Both leaders had accepted the bond. Treaties were being prepared. Trade, learning, and rebuilding would start in weeks. Tom and Lura stood side by side as they watched the announcement. Behind the words, there was something more, a feeling, a shift. For the first time, both worlds had agreed on something without fire and blood. They had agreed to peace. Later that day, Lura gave a speech to the people of both worlds. "I was born to lead, but I had to learn to listen. I believed strength came from force. I now know true strength comes from trust. Today, we do not just end a war. We begin a path. It will be hard, but we will walk it together." Tom also spoke. "I have seen what war takes. I have felt the weight of loss, but I have also seen courage in the most unlikely places. If we can stand together here today, then maybe tomorrow will be better than yesterday." Their words spread across both worlds. People watched from homes, cities, space stations, and bunkers. Some cheered, some cried. Others just listened. That night, the stars outside the station seemed brighter. Ships passed in peace. For once, no alarms sounded. Tom stood alone for a while, looking out at Earth. He thought of his brother, lost in the early days of the war. He thought of his mother, who still waited in a shelter. He hoped she had seen the broadcast. He hoped she would understand why he had made this choice. Lura joined him, silent for a moment. "Do you regret anything?" she asked. "No," Tom said. "I regret the war, but not this." She placed her hand in his. "There is still danger ahead," she said. "There always is," Tom replied. "But now we face it together." They stood in silence, watching the stars. Behind them, the station began to buzz with new energy. Meetings were planned. Teams were formed. Ideas were shared. Peace had not erased the past, but it had given them a future. And for now, that was enough. The space station orbiting between Earth and Varelia had never been so silent. Ships from both worlds floated around it. Soldiers guarded every hallway, but their weapons were not raised. It was not a day for war. It was a day for something new. Tom stood in front of a wide mirror. He wore a dark suit, newly made for the occasion. A silver pin shaped like a dove rested near his chest. His hands were steady, but his thoughts were not. Today was not a battle, but his heart felt the same way it did before one. Nira entered the room. She wore a long blue robe, her face calm. They are ready, she said. Tom gave a small nod. He took a deep breath and followed her down the hallway. Each step echoed as he walked. He thought of everything that had led him here. The attack on the peace ship, the night he stayed with Queen Lura in the mountain shelter, the mission to stop the secret weapon, the agreement they made, and now the ceremony that would join two worlds. On the other side of the station, Queen Lura was also preparing. Her robe was white with thin golden lines. Her crown was smaller than usual. She did not want to look like a ruler today. She wanted to look like someone who believed in peace. One of her advisors looked nervous. "Are you sure this will work?" he asked. "No," she said, "but it is worth trying." The main hall was filled. Leaders from Earth and Varelia sat across from each other. Soldiers lined the walls but stayed silent. No one spoke. Everyone waited. Then the doors opened. Tom entered from one side. Lura entered from the other. They walked slowly toward each other and met at the center of the platform. The human leader stepped forward. "Tom, do you come here by your own will?" "I do," he answered. The Varelian elder asked Lura, "Do you stand here in truth and peace?" "I do," she said. They turned to each other. A clear crystal was brought forward and placed between them. This crystal was a symbol of peace in both cultures. It had no power, only meaning. It would glow only if both of them touched it with clear minds. Tom reached out. Lura placed her hand next to his. The crystal glowed a soft green. A quiet sound passed through the room. The glow meant truth. The glow meant the bond was real. The elders nodded. The bond was accepted. This union was not just a marriage. It was a treaty, an agreement of peace. Slowly, people began to clap. First a few, then more. Soon the whole room stood and clapped. Some faces were still cold, but most were hopeful. After the ceremony, Tom and Lura walked to a quiet balcony. From there, they could see Earth and the stars. The moment felt peaceful. Lura looked at him. "We did it?" Tom nodded. "We did. But this is only the first step." She leaned on the railing. "There are still many who will fight against this, I know. But now we have something stronger than fear. We have hope." Just then, the communication screen blinked. A message from Earth and Varelia appeared. Both governments had signed the new peace order. Trade, shared science, and rebuilding would begin soon. Borders would stay, but the war was over. Tom looked at the screen, then at Lura. "Do you think our people can change?" "They must," she said. "If not, we lose everything." Later, a speech was broadcast to both planets. Queen Lura stood before a camera. She spoke clearly. "I was trained for battle. I was raised to lead with strength. But I have learned something new. True strength is not power. It is understanding. It is knowing when to listen. Today, we choose peace, not because we are weak, but because we are wise." Tom spoke after her. "I have seen what war does to both sides. I have lost family. I have lost friends, but I have also seen courage. I saw it in the queen who could have killed me but didn't. I saw it in the soldiers who lowered their weapons. This peace is a chance we cannot waste." The message reached every home on both worlds. Some cried, some cheered, others said nothing, but no one could ignore it. That night, Lura walked through the station garden. Tom joined her. The stars above were brighter than before. Maybe that was just how peace looked. Lura broke the silence. "Do you regret this?" Tom shook his head. "No, I regret the war, but not this choice." She smiled. "There will still be trials. There will still be enemies." Tom smiled back. "Then we face them together, from far away." Both Earth and Varelia looked quiet, but inside their people, something had begun to change. Not all hearts would heal quickly. Not all minds would forget the past, but they had seen a new path, one built not by victory, but by unity. And that was more powerful than any weapon.